an idea, effective presentation skills, interview skills, problem solving, how do you conduct productive meetings, project management, building influence in the workplace, resolving workplace conflict, effective decision making. These are 17 which we believe every college student must have. So with that context, let me now get to the content of what we are going to do today. And we are going to talk about stress management. So let me share a video with you, which is an introduction on stress management.
For most of us, life and work can be stressful. There really is no getting around this. Some people will tell you to smile and get on with it when you are feeling stressed. However, stress isn't a trivial matter. It can cause minor health conditions like headache and fatigue, as well as more serious problems such as heart attacks, high blood pressure, and strokes. It also costs organization millions of dollars in a lost production every year. This is why it's important to know how to deal with stress. This training highlights specific tools and skills that you can use to combat the stresses in your life and get you thinking about a long-term approach to managing it. You will learn about 4 approaches for dealing with stress. These are workload management strategies for preventing stress by organizing your schedule more effectively. You will also learn defense building for reducing stress by eliminating stressful situations. Then you'll go to thinking-based techniques for dealing with stress by thinking about things differently. And finally, relaxation exercises for coping with stress in situations that are out of your control. So let's go to the next session now.
Okay, so what we have done here is, these are the 10 different modules that we have created. What we have gone through is the introduction module. And fundamentally, in the introduction module, we realized that there are 4 different techniques to handle stress. Before we go further, I will like you to reflect on these 2 questions that are given here. The first question is, write down 2 or 3 situations where you feel stressed. So just write it down, 2 or 3 situations where you feel stressed. And what do you do about it? So when that stress hits you, what do you do to overcome that stress? So 2 or 3 situations where you feel stressed. And in those situations, what do you do to overcome or manage the stress that you feel? Okay, let's now go to the next video.
There are many definitions and explanations of stress. One common definition is attributed to psychologist Richard Lazarus. He says, stress is a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that demands exceed the personal and social resources the individual is able to mobilize. We can simplify this by saying, stress is what we experience when we feel that we are not in control. A key issue with stress is perception. What one person perceives as stressful may not be to another. The level of stress that each person experiences also differs. People's reaction to stress also varies. Some people react negatively to stressful situations, while others suffer very little. Factors such as personality, social support, and physical and mental conditioning all affect the amount of stress that people experience. There are three types of strategies that you can use to deal with stress, no matter how bad it makes you feel. These are action oriented. With these strategies, you take action that in time will help you to take more control over your life. Essentially, you do whatever you sensibly can do to control and eliminate the sources of stress. Then we have emotional oriented strategies. These psychological and strategies help you to intercept destructive negative thinking, and they allow you to think more positively about the situation that you are in. In the acceptance oriented, these strategies temporarily relieve stress symptoms when you can't regain control. We will learn about these in subsequent videos. Thank you.
So think of a person who is in the same situation like you, but does not feel stressed while you feel stressed in that situation. Now get to know this person, go and have a meeting with him. Because a lot of learnings we can do from seeing role models around us who seem to be able to handle situation better than us. To have a conversation with him or her, also try to learn what do they do differently to what we do. So let's now go to the next part of stress management. Having understood from some of our friends, let's go to some action oriented strategies. Did I share my screen before this? I hope so. Are you being able to hear?
We can hear your voice.
Yes, sir. I lost the speech, but I thought it is my connectivity problem.
Okay. So let's go here. So we have already seen this one. Okay, so in this, what we did so far, we have realized that there are three kinds of strategies. One is the action-oriented strategy, where you take action, you manage your workload better, so that you take control of what is important than what is urgent. The second thing that we talked about, how do we create emotion-oriented strategies where we are able to manage our emotions better. Third is acceptance-oriented strategies where we identify what we can control, what we can influence, and what we need to accept as something that is not in our hands. So these are the three strategies that we are going to talk about today. We already talked about the Eisenhower. So we talked about how do we manage our time better. Now, any job that comes to us has got two aspects. One is its importance, how important it is, and the second is how urgent it is. Now, the job which is important and urgent cannot be delayed, like we in the previous session talked about this. If a boss calls and says, I want you to come here and give me this data, it is both important and urgent. So what do you do here? You do it first. This task requires your immediate attention. Now, there are certain tasks which are important but not urgent. These are the ones that you schedule in your calendar so that you are focusing on them, but at a time when you are relatively free and you have sufficient energy to focus on these important tasks. Now, there's another kind of task which is important but not urgent. So it is not important but urgent. So it is not important to me. It is important to somebody else, but the other person wants us to do that work. Now, the best strategy in this is delegate this job to somebody who's junior to you, some colleague of yours. Because at that point in time, if you are working in not urgent but important tasks, you don't want to be diverted, but at the same time, you want that work still to be done. So what you do, you delegate it. Last work kind of work is which is not important, not urgent. These are time wasters. And what do we do this? We eliminate these from our calendar completely. So this is the four methodologies that you can use. Some things you will have to do and do it immediately. Some things you will need to schedule in your calendar so that you do them because they are important, may not be urgent, but you need to focus on them at a time when you're least distracted. Then they are the ones which are those work that is important to somebody else, but may not be important to you. So you give that job to one of your team members or colleagues so that at least the initial part of the work they can do, and then you can do the final touches. So you don't have to spend the entire time and effort on doing that job. And the final one is, of course, what is not important, not urgent. That is eliminated completely, and be aware of the fact that these are the time wasters which are wasting time and preventing you to do what's important to you and what is urgent to you. Okay, with that in mind, delegation. All of you must, so we have given a little format to you which says the task that I want to delegate. So you write down the task. To whom do I want to delegate? By when do I want to delegate? And the actions I need to empower the person, enable the person, before I give it the task, give him the task to do. See, there's a big difference between delegating and dumping. If I give a job to somebody without hand holding the person and expecting the person to do a good job, that would be called dumping. That means I have not handhold him, I have not built up his capability, and I give him the task to do, and when he doesn't do it and does it or does it badly, then I have only one choice, is take back the work and do it myself. So one thing about delegation is you need to give a job to somebody, tell them how to do it, then the second time tell the person to do it and bring it to you so that you check it. The third time, tell the person to send that work to somebody else, but with a CC to you, so that again you can check it. And after he does it a couple of times, with you having checked it that he's reached to the level of quality of work that you so desire, only then you can allow him to do it independently and without you worrying about it. So that hand holding is created by this sheet that we have. Now, let me show you the next video so that we can learn from it. Any questions from this part of the Eisenhower important and urgent task? Any questions in this, please? Anybody?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Ifram.
Yes, sir. Sir, if we are having two or more tasks at the same time, which is so urgent, so at that time we will increase our temperature and then we have to complete all the tasks at the once. So, is there any other solution like we can do all the tasks?
See,
Because only when only when I was doing the work, every work it is coming on the same time. So I feel very stressed that okay, this job is very stressful. So I couldn't segregate that which work is important and which work is very urgent. But all the works, from my point of view, it seems to be very urgent.
so that is important for us to know how to prioritize. Please remember, prioritization again is a very, very important part of life, and that is where you have to really identify what is important and urgent. We may feel everything is urgent, but everything cannot be urgent at the same time. Right? So that is where you will have to identify. Nobody can tell you this, but the fact is you have only got two hands and one brain, right? Even if you want to do a job, all 5 jobs at the same time, I don't think it is a feasible idea to do so. Right? So prioritization of a job can be done from important to urgent. Now, which are the urgent ones? Any one of you, which are the important? What are some criteria against which you will say, these are 3 things I will check, based on which I will get to know whether this task is important or not? Any criteria anybody has in mind? I will give you the first criteria. The first criteria I will take as most important is a job that my boss wants me to do. Right? So I will have some work that my boss wants me to do. I will give it the most importance because he's the one who is my immediate boss. So one criteria to check it, is this something that my boss has given which is most urgent for my boss? Any other criteria anybody knows? I can give you the second criteria. The second criteria is that job is important, which gives me visibility in the organization. If I do this job, I will become more visible. This is a job that is being tracked by the management. Right? My best, if I do this job well and the management notices me and my boss notices me, that is the most important task that I have. Any other way of finding out whether a task is important or not? How will you give a task more importance or not? 2 criteria I have given you based on my experience.
Is
Yes.
is there not a deadline?
A deadline, absolutely. The third criteria is what is the deadline? that task which is shorter deadline, I will focus first on than on the longer deadline. And the fact is, in spite of what you may say, it is impossible to believe that every work that you get has the same deadline. There is some job that you have to give next week. There will be certain jobs that you have to give by the end of the month, right? So obviously the deadline of the job is the third criteria against which you will judge whether that job is important or less important. Great. What is there any other criteria you will like to share? So that was a great criteria, deadline given to me. First, second is, it is a job that my boss has entrusted on me. Third, it is a job that if I do well, I will get the greatest visibility from the highest management team of my organization. Any other criteria you would like to identify? Another important task that I would consider is anything which has got financial implications or highest risk. Right? Because at the end of it, we are all working in an organization which needs to be profitable, which needs to make money, which needs to ensure that it is getting whatever the financials have to be good. So if this job of mine impacts the financials of my organization, that is the one I will give more priority. If I don't do this, there will be a loss to the organization. Financial loss. Isn't that also something that you, in your own personal life, give more priority to? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So, if it is good for me to give priority to, the same impact also is happening to my organization. If my organization does well, I can do well. I can't make my organization suffer, because if it suffers, I will also suffer in the long run. Right? I hope, Ifra, I hope you got some ideas on how to identify what is important.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next part and see on how we.
Sir, I think, have you gone through the question of Revati ma'am?
What's the question? I couldn't see it. Please tell me.
Unable to concentrate on research as more preparation is required to take online classes with full justification. Unable to overcome as we are jam-packed with the academic activities.
What you are saying is, while your academic activities are there, you have been asked to do online classes. Yes? Is that the
Revati
question?
ma'am, can you unmute and speak?
Sir, it's not that, sir. Actually, we need to do research along with our academic activities. When we are doing in offline classes, we go to the class with the preparation. Of course, we do prepare, but the preparation we are spending for online classes is much more. We almost sit up to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the night, if you really want to justify to present it well. So in this period of time, in this pandemic period, we are unable to really concentrate on research, but we really want to. This is really becoming stressful for me.
Okay. One thing you can do is what I have just done. I have recorded my videos. I play the basic videos on the online classes and then open up for discussion. That comes to me directly, right? Right now, like I'm doing, I'm playing a video that I've already recorded. I put it there. I don't have to always remember. I've just done it once. Now I play that video. Effort required is minimum. And you then get involved with people only in discussion of some questions that they want to get better understanding.
Yes, sir. Even I have videos, nearly 45 videos to 50 videos I have. But
so does it help you then? What if you did not have
that? Really helped me a lot. That really
Perfect.
helped me a lot, because before this pandemic period itself, I had nearly 35 videos of my own.
Great.
And I could use those, and I went for the newer topics only. But even then, if I really want to give full justification of working, really to justify well in my preparation, because I'm always somehow need to, I look brings that more perfection. That's my weakness also. Because even if I type a letter, I look for a perfect format. If I go for a PPT also, I look for the perfect format. This way, I really spend more time compared to my peer group. So
Let,
I
let me tell
feel,
you one thing, and don't mind it, but this is true for most high profile people like us. Perfectionism is a disease,
yes,
right?
yes, sir.
If we want to be perfect, there is something wrong with us. We should be human enough to say we can do a good job. I myself am a recovering perfectionist. I also wanted at some point in time to do everything to perfection. Is this unnecessary puts too much of a burden on you?
Burden on it. But
So
now I
please
have
don't
come
try to
down.
be
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, I
Try
have
to
come
be
down by
useful.
25%. But I have come down by 25%. Now I have come down, sir. Thinking that
Perfect.
is
So that's
not
a good thing.
difficult.
Try to be useful rather than being too much of a perfectionist. Nobody is judging you, right? As long as you can be useful, that is good enough. And because you were not doing these online classes before, you have had, you would have seen your initial classes, you would have needed more preparation.
Yeah,
Now,
now
as you
we
have been
require
doing
little
it,
less.
yeah,
Yeah.
now it is getting lesser and less, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this has happened with all of us because we all of us were good at live classes. We could walk into a class and take a class, right?
Yes,
But when we had to do online, we had to change ourselves. And please remember, be kind on yourself because change takes time.
yes, sir.
So, what's happening with you is firstly not abnormal. What is happening with you is a normal thing that you are going through as you are learning a new skill, right? And you will not be perfect. Do not try to be it. Just try to get better at every outing that you have, and that will give you enough happiness to be able to grow as well as give sufficient value in your online classes, right? Another thing that I do is put a deadline for yourself. I will work 3 hours for every online class, no more than that, whatever happens. And I've just given a number 3 hours. You choose, but you choose a time. It cannot be okay. I'm sitting down and working for something. Now, when it finishes, it finishes. No, no, no. Like I said, when you sit down and you decide in this next 1 hour, this is what I want to achieve. Break it down into 3 hours or whatever time you think is sufficient. Do not go beyond that because you can work for 20 hours also. But it's not useful to work 20 hours for online workshop if research is a part in your life, which is very important,
Yeah.
right?
Good, sir.
Because
Thank
then
you.
you are becoming trying very hard on becoming online, doing good on online workshop, but losing a very important part of your work, that is research.
Yes,
And
sir.
also, please, one more thing, don't try to balance your life on a daily basis. Try to balance your life on a weekly basis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? All of us want to do everything every day. Not possible. I will exercise, I will do research, I will do online workshop, I will be with my family, I will everything in one day. No, can't happen. So if you create a weekly schedule for yourself and say, okay, I will work 6 hours or 4 hours on my research. I will work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Saturday. So now you have ensured that you are giving 4 hours of your time in a week and not focusing too much on a daily basis because even if you do, you're not going to achieve it. Right? I want to have a good relationship with my son, let's say, and I want to interact with him. Can I do it on a daily basis? Not possible. But if I'm able to give him 3 hours of one to one, and I'm just giving a 3 hour, you have to decide how much that number of hours has to be, and I schedule that over a entire week. I will then be able to focus and give him that much.
Okay, sir. Thank you very
Right?
much, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, so let's go to the next video now.
There are many techniques that you can use to build defense against stress and to protect yourself from stressful situations. Here you can explore how developing a network of support can be very powerful defense. Studies have found that if you have a strong network of friends, family and co-workers who can support you, you are less likely to experience stress and you are better able to cope with it when it does surface. When you have a well-developed system of support, you can get the assistance that you need when you need it. You will always have someone to turn to talk to help you, to bring your thoughts back to reality or brainstorm solutions with. Your support network can include a variety of people, such as friends, family, co-workers, managers, team members, and mentors. While it might seem easiest to build your network with friends and family, you do need to form meaningful relationships with people at work too. These people can provide you more specific assistance when stress is work-related. Two ways to develop supportive relationships at work are: find a mentor. A good mentor provides an excellent opportunity for you to learn new skills and to reinforce your own self-worth. To make sure that the relationship is not just one way, be prepared to provide information to your mentor and to do your very best to follow his or her advice. Work in a team. When you work closely with others on a dedicated task or project, you can turn a working relationship into one of mutual support and assistance. Remember, the dynamics of working closely with a mentor and other team members can help to build trust between you. This can make it easier for you to talk about what's causing you stress, as well as to generate ideas for dealing with it. So the action now you can take is, take some time right now to think about your support network. Use
Okay, so this is important for us to remember. Most of us have more support than we use. So what you have to identify is, we have again created a list for you, name of the person whom you can bank upon for support. Also, please identify when was the last time you gave him or her support. Also, what support you are giving that person. See, you cannot build trusting relationship with people if it is a one-way traffic. I always come to you for support, but I never give you support. So you have to identify people in your surroundings, both in your professional workplace, in your house, your friends and family, whom you develop a mutual relationship of supporting each other and asking for help. Most of us, when we get into a difficult situation, we also get into a cave and stop sharing it with people. So that is the worst thing that one can do. So create your support structure and ensure that that support structure is helping you, especially in a time of stress, to listen to you and give you advice. So that's your defense mechanism of ensuring that you have a social backup available with you. We all are social animals, right? That's what they say. A human being is a social animal. And they have found one very important thing about people who have lived long lives. So they started finding out what is that one or two things that make people live a long life. Surprisingly, it was not money. Surprisingly, it was not because they were having healthy habits. Surprisingly, it was not that they were exercising. The most important factor for anyone who was living a long life was that they were socially interacting with people. The more you socially interact with people, the more happier you become. And that is also a huge support system that you can use to reduce your stress levels. Okay, let's see another methodology that we will now go to.
By strengthening our emotional response to stressful situations, we can become less vulnerable to them. One of the most powerful strategies for changing our emotional response to stress is changing our thinking. If we can remove our negative thinking from the equation, the situation can often be less stressful. We can do this with a group of techniques called thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking. So what is thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking? We all get stressed sometimes because of what we are telling ourselves. Perhaps we think that someone doesn't like us when in fact he or she is just having a bad day. Perhaps we are scared of a situation that we don't understand, or maybe we are just seeing the negatives and not the positives. This is where thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking can help. When we realize that it is our perception of what's going on that causes us stress, rather than the situation itself, we can try to take control of our thinking and turn our negative thoughts into more positive and rational ones. By practicing thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking, you consciously record your negative thoughts as they occur and then take deliberate actions to replace them with more appropriate ones. We'll look at these techniques step by step in the next session.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a little log for ourselves. And whenever a negative thought comes to us, we need to keep writing it down. Because the moment you write it down, it comes to your awareness as to what that negative thought is. Having written down that negative thought, we will now take action to convert this to a positive thought. So let's see that now.
In this session, we will look at thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking techniques step by step. Step 1, write down your negative thoughts. Think about some situations that are currently causing you stress or have caused you stress in the past. For each one, write down the negative thoughts that you are experiencing in the first column of the thought awareness worksheet. Some examples of negative thinking are, I'm stupid, nobody respects me, everyone expects me to fail. Step 2 is replace your negative thoughts with rational ones. Once you are aware of your negative thoughts, you can replace them with rational and well-balanced ones. To do this, you must think about the situation from a more objective perspective. You have to challenge your perceptions and determine whether your thoughts are reasonable and accurate. Look at each thought on the worksheet and ask yourself if it's reasonable. Be objective in your assessment. Then adopt another person's perspective and again determine how rational the thought is. Would your colleague, boss, or friends agree with it? If the thought is unreasonable or irrational, as it is often the case, rewrite it to express the truth of the situation. Some examples of how you can turn your negative thoughts into more rational thoughts are, I am stupid. Instead of that, I have the skills and knowledge needed to perform the task. Nobody respects me. I got appreciated by my boss in the work that I recently did. Everyone expects me to fail. My co-workers are dependent on my success and they have a vested interest in helping me to succeed. What do we need to do if we realize that the other person's perspective is true? We will learn about this in the next session. Thank you.
So again here, what we have done is, we have created a negative thought, then we have seen whether it is rational or not. So if it is rational, two things could happen, right? That I don't know a job, that could also happen. So I am poor in presentation skills, let's say. So you write down, I am poor in presentation skills. Now there could be two elements in this. One is, I just had a bad day and in the last 3 presentations that I did, I was applauded. So fundamentally saying that I'm not bad, I may have had a bad day, never mind. The second option could be, I really suck at it. That means I'm not good at it. Now if you're not good at it, you can't turn something negative which is true into positive just to make yourself satisfied. So in that case, the rational thought would be, I need to improve in this area and need to take some online course, right? So if it is a true factor, you need to convert it into action and then take an action to get better at it, which we'll see in the next video.
In this session, we will look at thought awareness.
If you have done this one, we'll go to the next one.
If you write down a negative thought that is representative of reality, this is your opportunity to deal with the underlying concerns. Maybe you don't have all the skills that you need to perform a task. If that's the case, work with your manager to create a development plan that brings your ability in line with his or her expectations. Rational thinking can relieve you of stress, regardless of how truthful your negative thought is, because it gives you something real to focus on. In the next step, affirm your reality with positive thinking. Now that you know the reality of the stressful situation, you may still need a boost to help you to cope with it. You can build your confidence and self-esteem by taking your thoughts to the next level and by thinking positively about yourself. Knowing that you have the skills to perform a job well is reassuring. But telling yourself that you will complete the task superbly is inspiring. A positive message about yourself and your ability can help you to heal the damage caused by repeated negative ones. Try to make your positive statement as specific as possible and put it in the present tense to enforce its meaning. Making an emotional connection with it can make it more memorable and believable. Look at each rational thought on your worksheet and create a positive statement that will help you to build your confidence in that area. Record your positive statement on the worksheet and include any opportunities you can think of putting it into real action. Examples of positive statement include, my skills will allow me to complete this project superbly. I can complete this assignment expertly. I deserve respect and support from my co-workers. Practicing thought awareness, rational thinking, and positive thinking can help you to become emotionally stronger. So please go out and try these. Thank you.
Okay, so what have we gone through? We have gone through the negative thought that we had, that I'm not good at presentation skills. The rational thought is, I had a bad day and otherwise I was appreciated 3 times before. The positive thought is, I need, whenever I am well prepared for my presentation, I can always do a great job. However, on the other hand, if you are not good at it and you need support, then you write, the rational thought is, I need to work on my presentation skills and take a course on this. Now, how will you have a positive thought for it? It can be, having completed my course, I'm going to be magnificent in my presentation skills. So you're giving yourself a pump up to say, while I do this action, I'm going to get better in the area where I really need to get better. Now, specifically in the area where you need to get better, you need to create a worksheet for yourself, which has the skills that you require, and you aren't really up to it as of now. The skills available with you, your development plan, and your positive statement. So at the end of it, once you achieve your skill, so this is what you require, this is what is available, then the gap between what is available to what I require is the gap that you need to improve in, and you need to make a development plan for it. Having done that, then a positive statement to make you motivated to continue to do it, and that statement will be an end state statement. After you finish it, how it will impact your life. So you can say, my presentation is applauded by everyone, or a standing ovation for my presentation. So while you're working on yourself, you keep seeing that, visualizing that positive thing, which enables you to put in the hard work to get better. Most of us don't really spend too much time in developing ourselves. My only humble suggestion to everybody, and I tell this to everybody across all organizations, is spend 10% of what you earn on your own self-growth. Just reflect, when was the last time you spent money on yourself for your own personal growth? And it may not necessarily be functional skills or academic skills. It could be very well people skills. Right? Now you have created this, and now you create a positive affirmation, the power of affirmations that we talked about. Now we'll create a affirmation sheet so that we can paste it somewhere and we can keep reading it to motivate us and inspire us to take that hard journey of change. See, change is not easy, and that is where it will take you certain amount of effort and motivation, dopamine that we talked about. It needs to be released for you to be able to take that jump. So let's see the next video.
What are affirmations and do they work? Affirmations are positive statements that can help you to challenge and overcome self-sabotaging and negative thoughts. When you repeat them often and believe in them, you can start to make positive changes. You might consider affirmations to be unrealistic, wishful thinking, but try looking at positive affirmations this way. Many of us do repetitive exercises to improve our physical health, and affirmations are like exercises for our mind and outlook. These positive mental repetitions can reprogram our thinking patterns so that over time we begin to think and act differently. For example, evidence suggests that affirmations can help you to perform better at work. According to researchers, spending just a few minutes thinking about your personal qualities before a high-pressure meeting or a performance review, for example, can calm your nerves, increase your confidence, and improve your chances of successful outcome. Self-affirmations may also help to mitigate the effects of stress. In one study, a short affirmation exercise boosted the problem-solving abilities of chronically stressed subjects to the same level as those of low stress. Examples of affirmations. By definition, your affirmations will be personal to you and specific to what you want to achieve or change. But some examples may provide some inspirations. These are, I have plenty of creativity for this project. My work will be recognized in a positive way by my bosses and colleagues. I can do this. My team respects and values my opinion. I am successful. I am honest in my life and my work. I like completing tasks and projects on time. I am grateful for the job I have. I enjoy working with my team. I am bringing a positive attitude to work every day. I am excellent at what I do. I am generous. I am happy. I will be a leader in my organization. Or even, I am a leader in my organization. Let's now go through a 5-minute affirmation exercise now. Just relax, close your eyes, and we'll go through this. Thank you.
Okay. So the affirmation exercise we have already gone through. Right here, if you see on the slide here, you can see the affirmations. I have plenty of creativity of this project. So all the affirmations, once you read that, you will find that once you carry out affirmations over and over again, you will find more inspiration and more motivation within you. Because the positive hormones are going to be released in your brain. And these are the hormones which are going to inspire us to take the difficult road of change. Now let us go to the next step of how to reduce stress. This is a very important part, is acceptance orientation strategies. What you can't change, you have to accept.
Acceptance orientation approaches to managing stress recognize and accept that it's a part of life and that sometimes you have no power to change the situation. They help you to deal with stress in the here and now, accepting that you genuinely can't control or influence something is not a sign that you are ineffective, passive, or apathetic. It's a sign of confidence, maturity, and intelligence. It shows that you have a proactive way of coping. Repeat this quote with me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Another method is the control, influence, accept model. So what is the control, influence, accept model? Human relationship specialist Neil and the social worker lecturer Sue Thompson discussed the CIA model in their 2008 book, The Critically Reflective Practitioner. It's a problem-solving and time and stress management tool that identifies 3 ways to respond to challenges. The first is control. Identify the issues or elements of the situation that you can control. Influence. Identify the elements that you can't control but that you can influence. Accept. Identify the things you can neither control nor influence and adapt accordingly. When you understand these potential responses, you can put problems into perspective more easily and get a sense of what you can and can't accomplish. This enables you to focus your efforts where they will have the most impact. Often, when you are in a stressful situation, you simply need to relax and take a break so that you can regain your focus and concentration. You can then use deep relaxation exercises. Find a quiet place to sit down, close your eyes, and breathe slowly and deeply to calm down. Instead of breathing with your ribs, breathe so that your lower belly expands. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and focus on what it feels like to fill your lower belly with air. Then breathe out slowly through your mouth. Keep breathing deeply and picture yourself in the most peaceful environment you can imagine. Use all of your senses to immerse yourself in the experience and include as many details as possible. Relax for as long as you feel comfortable or for as long as your schedule allows. When you are ready, let your mind turn back to the situation at hand and return to work. You will feel an inner calm that will stay with you until you need to repeat this or try another relaxation exercise. Thank you.
Okay, so what we did in this module is we worked on the CIA model. The CIA model says that any situation that we go through, there are certain things that we have a direct control over. Right? So let's say I go through a situation which is to do with a project not going as per the timelines, the SLAs as had been decided with the client. Now this is the situation. Now I have to identify first what are the things which are under my control. That could be my project manager, that could be the information that I'm getting, that could be the correctness of the data in the dashboard that I have. It could be that I could talk more on the phone with the people who are actually doing the project on the ground. So there could be a number of things. It could be directly within my control to do. Now the second element is where you do not have direct control, but you have influence. Let us say we also, when we are doing the project, we need some data from the client. Now I don't have a direct control over that, but I have to ask myself, how can I influence that I keep getting that regular data from the client? So one way of my increasing my influence is I have tell the client that I'm going to have a meeting with you every Wednesday, 3 to 4 o'clock. Now that does not ensure that I will get that data, but within my capability, I've taken that step to say 3 to 4, I'm going to his office, I'm going to sit down with him, and before that, I would have given him the kind of data that I want. That will in some manner ensure that the probability of getting the data is going to increase. So some things we could indirectly influence. Now certain things we have to accept. What are something that I need to possibly accept is that maybe if it is the monsoons and I know that some number of days are going to be wasted because of the heavy showers that are going to happen, let's say maybe a week in a 30-day period. So I have to accept the fact that these 7 days anyway, I will lose, and I have to accept it and not fret too much about it. So that beautiful thing that we just read, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, but the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Most of us get into a victim mode and we keep talking about this. What I cannot change, what I cannot change, I keep talking about it. We do not have the courage and the humility to do what we need to do to make that change happen. So that is where your control and influence areas are coming into play, and that is what you need to focus on. Okay, so we will just go to the final key learnings short video on that.
In this training session, we have looked at 3 ways that you can manage stress. These are action-oriented, emotional-oriented, and acceptance-oriented strategies. Each approach includes specific tools and techniques that you can use to combat short and long-term stress, such as workload management, defense building, thought awareness, and relaxation exercises. You can use these methods to help you to relieve your symptoms of stress, to regain control in stressful situations, and to intercept your negative patterns of thinking both in the moment and in the future. It's important to remember that everyone reacts differently to stress, and that the tools that work for some people might not work for you. Practice using a variety of techniques and adopt the ones that are most effective for you and your situations. Best of luck, great learning. Now get into action and see you soon.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of stress management. As we said, we have gone through a number of techniques and tools. We started off by this, the urgent and important matrix. We realized that there are certain things that have more importance and urgency than others. These are the ones that we need to immediately focus on. Then there are certain which are important but not urgent. But please remember, if something is important and not urgent, and you don't do it, and you procrastinate, at some point in time, it will become important and urgent, right? Then you will have to do it, but you won't have the time to do it with excellence. That is why you need to schedule time in your calendar to do those which are important, but not urgent. So these are the ones that you need to focus on. If you don't schedule it, you will lose it. The third is the one that is important to somebody else, not important to me, but to somebody else, but is urgent, immediately required by somebody. Since I'm working on this, I need to delegate this to somebody in my team. And finally, I need to not do those things which are time wasters. After that, we came up to say, how can we delegate? So we have to identify certain areas that we can delegate. There are 3 inputs I like to give you on delegation. Firstly, don't delegate something which is your core competency. If you are good at something, if you are known for that, if you delegate that to somebody, then your own uniqueness is being left out. Second, when you give something or delegate something to somebody, ensure that the time that you get, because you are going to delegate, now you're going to get some time available with you, you should be able to do one high level task during that period, so that when this person gets better on that delegated thing, you are also getting better on another thing which is required at the next level. Many of us do not delegate because if I delegate, this person will go above me. But if I delegate and also use that time to get better myself, then that man is never going to be catching up with me. Third, never delegate something which gives you visibility to the top management. So if there's a very important project which the top management is getting a review on, do not avoid it and give it to somebody else and make him go and meet the top management. You yourself should ensure that your visibility with the top management remains. So 3 important parts of delegation which are important for you to remember. There's another thing that we learned on, that in this world we need support. So we have to identify our support structure, create a support structure, also ensure that not only it's a one-way street. If I need support from the person and expect the person to give me, I must also identify ways in which I give support to that person too. This is known as the law of reciprocity. When I give something to somebody, the other person openly wants to give something back to me. It's reciprocal, right? So that is important for us to do, because if it's a one-way street only, after some time what will happen is that person will get fed up of you, and now when you go to seek support from him, he will not give you support because he's got fed up of you being a victim and only asking for support or not giving support. Now in various areas of your life, you have to identify the name of the people whom you think are the people you need in your support structure. You have to identify what support are they giving you, what support you can give them, and finally, is it one way or reciprocal? So that's create a support structure around you where you can vent, you can cry your heart out. Please remember, when you are under stress, you need somebody to listen to you. And that is where you are getting this support structure, both to listen to you and also to give you advice. The third thing that we realized is we need to have thought awareness of any negative thought that we are feeling. And this is based on our past experiences. Because we have not been successful somewhere, we get a negative thought. We keep a log of those thoughts, then pick up a few thoughts and put it down here, and then identify, is this thought rational? Are there facts to prove it? If the one-off thing that happened, that's not a fact. So then you write down, this is my negative thought. The rational thought is it true or is it not true? And again, at times, seek support from other people and ask them, you know, I didn't do well in that interview. Do you think I have communication skills, issues in communication skills? So take a third person perspective about it. You may find at times it is only a self-belief issue. If it is a self-belief issue, you increase that self-belief by putting a rational thought and a positive thought after that. But it could also be a competency issue. If it is a competency issue, just saying all is well, all is well, all is well will not work for us. We have to ensure that we need to work on this area. Now to work on this area, what do we need to do? We need to identify the skill that is required in the work that I'm doing. What's my benchmark on what is needed? So where I am based on what I need. What's the gap? How do I manage this gap? By a development program. It could be a mentorship, it could be a coach, it could be very well a training online, it could be a live program, it could be support from somebody who's good at it. So you write down your development plan, and finally write a positive statement of the end state of what would happen after you pick up those skills, so that it kind of energizes you. The last thing that we realized was that we need to, or the second last was that we need to use the power of affirmations. So when we have negative thoughts and we need to push them out, the only way to do it is start giving positive thoughts to ourselves. And finally, we learned the control, influence, and accept methodology, where we said the situation, write down the situation that you are having stress in, identify what can you control and what can you do, and then do it. See, I've seen this happening a lot of times. Many times we have some great thought in our head. We think about it deeply in our head. We then see ourselves doing it in our head. We then see ourselves failing, not by doing it, but again in our head. And finally, we lose confidence in ourselves, back again in our head. So everything's happening in the head, and you are not even trying that out. The only way to learn is to actionize it. Like life is not is a contact sport. It is not a thought sport. So we need to work on doing it. That is where you need to now act on it. You need to act on things that you can influence, and some things you have to accept, because neither can you control them or influence them. So this is some methodologies, and finally we talked about how do you do some mindful exercises. Mindfulness, again, as I said, can be a 2-day workshop, but mindfulness is a very powerful thing, or meditation. I don't use the word meditation because it may have religious connotations, but mindfulness is something that all of us must practice. And the easiest mindfulness exercise is just close your eyes and focus on your breath, right? And calm yourself down and relax yourself. So these are some exercises you could do to be able to reduce your stress levels. Any questions? I think I finished this short, but we still been able to share 4 very definitive tools with you that you can use to reduce your stress. Any questions that you have, I would be open to answering. Yes.
Participants can unmute and ask the question.
You can unmute and ask, you can type and ask, whatever. If you type, then somebody has to read it out to me.
It was very nice and informative session, sir. I will also try 2-3 tricks.
Right. Absolutely. So that will be actionized, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You just write on the chat one thing that you have learned today. Just one thing. In this 2 hours, what is one thing that you have learned? Just put in the chat. Wherever you put your attention, you will get better at it. So if you write it down, it will stick. If you don't type it out, it won't stick. One thing only that you have learned.
Jafar Iqbal sir has written, thank you, sir. Very informative session.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, any
other question from any participants, please drop the message. Yes, Usha madam.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So today, takeaway for me was priority-based scheduling.
Absolutely wonderful. I think that's very, very important, and thank you for it. We need to prioritize.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very informative session.
Thank you, ma'am, so much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? And let me tell you, Usha ma'am, you won't get it perfectly right. Right? So don't think that when you plan for something and prioritize, you will do it 100%. It won't happen. This is the real world. In the real world, if we are able to achieve 60 to 70% of our prioritized work, that is good enough. So we should, yes. One of the biggest mistakes we do as human beings is we set expectations which are illogical.
Yes, sir.
I will go for a walk every day of the week.
Yes,
it will never happen, I promise you. But if I say I will go for a walk at least 4 days in a week, that is an expectation which is possible, right? And whatever you said, if you expect something and don't achieve it, you see it as a failure. The brain sees it as a failure. So be realistic in setting expectations. I'm
Yes,
going
sir.
to have a perfect life. Sorry, there's nobody in this world who's going to have a perfect life. I'm going to be always happy. Never. I'm going to have a fantastic, loving relationship with my spouse, and where I will have no problem ever.
Yes,
What
yes.
happened, right? So,
Sir, I
so
would like to add two things in my priority list. That is, first one is the task or the work which is important for my personal improvement, like my further education.
right.
And one more thing which is nobody said, but I think it is very important, like family. I mean, it also matters. Family
100%.
also comes
100%.
in priority.
Absolutely. You can't have a terrible personal life and imagine to have a perfect professional life. It won't happen.
Yes,
If you have a bad married life or a personal life, it will eat into your professional life and vice versa.
yes,
Right? So we need to have a wholesome life.
yes, sir.
And I'm the last person to say it because I have my wife manages everything for me in my personal life, including relationships.
Yes, sir.
Right? Having said that, but I do believe you need to have a wholesome life where your personal life and professional life both are reasonably good.
Yes, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much,
much.
Vishal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sir, there is messages in your chat box, sir. Shall I read it out or you can see the chat box, sir?
I can't see it, so you can. You may. So
Okay,
how?
sir. Okay, sir, I'll read it. Read it out. Anuradha madam has said prioritization,
Okay. Yeah.
prioritizing. Nirmala madam need proper planning too, sir.
Yes.
And Nashid madam has written to reduce stress management. We need to talk with someone who I mostly rely on.
Right. There's somebody who asked me. This is a good question. If the deadline is the same for three different things, how do I manage that? Right. So please do one thing. Switch task. Let's say that I have to give three things after 3 days. Let's say. So one way of doing it is I spend one entire day to work on one. Then I use the next day to work on the second and the next day to work on the third. A better way is spend some time on first task, switch the task, go to the second task, switch the task, go to the third task. So while you are doing that task, you are doing only one task, but you are switching your attention to different tasks. When the brain switches from one kind of task to another, it is more efficient than doing the same work for one entire day. So learn to switch tasks because the brain, as I said, loves novelty. It loves newness. If you do one entire thing and keep spending time on it, you will find something known as diminished returns. After a certain time, the time that you are spending on doing that work and the outcome that you are getting in doing that work will reduce drastically. Right? So, Taslima ma'am, I hope you've got this idea.
Sir, Taslima ma'am has written, if a few work has same deadline, how can...
So that's my answer. That was my answer. I read it. I
Okay.
cannot see what she's written. So that's why I answered it. Good information. Thank you. Wonderful session. Thank you, sir. Prioritizing how to prioritize the work and giving importance to self and family. Extremely important. Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, got it. Thank you, Taslima ma'am. Very lively session. Lakshmi ma'am, thank you so much. Great, wonderful. And again, for those of you, if you want your college students to go through this entire program, we have these programs available to be given to you. Just reach out to me. I want to just hand it over to you. You see how easy it is. You play a video of mine. There's a manual which we'll give you. The manual will have exercises. So you have no work to do, really speaking, other than play the video and give them the manual to work. So everybody who works on the tool connects the learning to his or her personal life or professional life. So it becomes an individualized action plan that is being created. Okay, maybe you can get the content. Just reach out to me and tell me which organization that you are from and how many students do you want to do this for. Please reach out to me. It is available to anybody who's here, or even if they are not here, it's available to you. I'll give you a link. You will get all this content available to you. Okay, but you have to then take it to your students, give it to your students, teach them. Okay, thank you, Taslima ma'am. And if there are no other questions, I just leave you with a thank you. And I had a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for accepting last moment invitation, sir. Thank you so much. But it was a real wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Participants are requested to appear for the exams. Link will be open from 4 to 7. Certificates will